I'm about to call this lady back. It's been raining. There's a hurricane coming.
Hello?
Hi, is this Samantha?
Hi, yes, this is she.
Hi, this is Felicia Ogilby.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just want to let you know that monitor our calls. So I just want to let you know that ahead of time. Do you still want to speak with me?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
Okay.
just wanted to get your perspective on, like, you know, why you submitted the complaint and just your really perspective on what happened.
Yeah, I just feel, you know, the police were super aggressive, which, you know, I can understand, like, you know, maybe they feel that they need to be that way with the public to an extent. But when you start lying and making up things and then not identifying yourself, that is where I kind of feel like you know that you did something wrong. If you don't want to ID, then you know that what you did was wrong because you don't want to give up your name because you don't want to be reported. And that's what happened. The guys that were involved in that incident, they actually went to the police department and they filed a report, and their report went nowhere. It ended up in the garbage and nothing came of it because there was no way for them to ID those officers. So it's like they know that if they don't ID, then there's no report that can be done, and then there's no repercussions. And, you know, I for one just think, you know, if you have a more open conversation with the public, not everybody is a criminal, not everybody's out to harm you, not everybody's out to do nefarious things, you know. The way that the media is nowadays, a lot of it is lies. It's all for clicks. It's all to make money. And it's good for the public to be able to see a different perspective. So when you have these activists or you have regular people that have a camera and they're recording not only for their safety, but for the safety of the officers and anybody else involved, and they then distribute that information to the public, that's for public interest. So, I mean, it's a protected activity to film in a public area and to film public officials on the American dime. Like, they weren't breaking any laws. They weren't doing anything illegal. So the way that this was handled, it was just very aggressive for somebody that, you know, didn't really commit any crime. Like, I don't understand why they were so aggressive. And then, you know, I don't know if they need public relations training to, like, how to deal with the public and how to treat people. I don't know, you know, if they get that kind of training, but the ethics, I think that they definitely need some sort of ethics training, because the lying and the, like, hiding and being secretive, like, there were, I believe it was 5 officers, and out of 5 officers, not one of them stood up and said, okay, listen, you know, our policy is if we're asked to ID by the public, then we give them our name so they know who they interacted with. Not one of them stood up and said, like, hey, what you're doing is not okay. And it's like, if there's that many and not one of them stands up and says, hey, what you're doing is not okay, then to me it's like, wow, they're all corrupt. And if they're that corrupt, how corrupt is the actual department? And then when somebody goes and makes a formal complaint and it ends up in the garbage, it's like, oh, so they're all corrupt, you know? And I don't want to believe that. I do want to believe that there's good officers, but it's becoming hard to believe that when this is the things that we're seeing, you know what I mean? Like, it's just uncalled for behavior. Like, just treat people like they're human beings. Like, don't treat them like they're animals. There's no reason to get a baton out for a photographer and then to lie and be like, oh, well, you were breaking into the car. No, nobody was breaking into your car. Like, your car was parked on the sidewalk. Nobody could walk down the sidewalk because you were taking up the sidewalk with your car. The sidewalk is not a parking spot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just everything about it just kind of was very, I don't know, it just made me feel like my stomach just dropped. Like, it just dropped with, if this is how they're behaving when they know that someone is filming them, how are they behaving when they think nobody's watching them? That's my thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know somebody's filming you and you're still acting excuse my language, but like an ass, like, then what are you doing and how are you treating people when you think nobody's watching? What reports are you lying on when you falsely arrest somebody and you want that arrest to stick? So you say, oh, well, they were breaking into a cop car, even though they weren't. So that's my thing, is like, if you'll lie to somebody's face on camera, how many reports are you lying on? If you'll be that aggressive with somebody on camera with a baton, what are you doing to people that don't have cameras? Are you actually beating them with those batons? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then to be like, oh, and then I'm not going to identify. So you know that what you did is not in your training. You know that it's abnormal. You know that you shouldn't treat people like that. So then you just don't ID. You know your boys in blue won't ID you because everybody's got each other's backs. And then there's no write-up, there's no repercussions, there's no additional training, and they just continue to get away with it. And that's how incidents happen, like that what we're seeing in the news, where people end up dead. It's because nobody stepped in and said, hey, the way you're treating the public isn't okay. You need to take this course on how, you know, to be ethical and not to lie, because police are supposed to be the best of us. So to see them lying to your face, it's like, wow, you're supposed to be the best of us and you're a liar. So if you're a liar, we can't trust anything you say or do. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. Yeah, I definitely, I hear where you're coming from, for sure, you know, and that's why we take these complaints very seriously, you know, like the city works with us and we're totally independent, and we do a thorough investigation and make recommendations to the city based on our investigation into each and every complaint. So it's definitely not going in the garbage. Like, this complaint will go through the whole process, and you know, I definitely appreciate you speaking with me and giving me your perspective on this, because it definitely helps with my investigation.
Okay.
So for you, like, what you would like to see for, like, as kind of a resolution is for, like, these officers to be held accountable.
Yeah, I would like them to be held accountable. I think, you know, whether that means that they go through ethics training or public relation training or whatever it is, they need to be held accountable, and they need the additional training so that they don't do this in the future. I don't want it to just be like, hey guys, don't do that again, and then they go, yeah, okay, no problem, but then they continue to do it. I think if they have to go, sorry, if there's a helicopter, sorry, 1 minute. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
So yeah, I think if they're made to take, you know, some sort of additional training, then maybe it'll stick with them, you know, like, oh, I've got to sit through 10 hours of training or 8 hours of training or whatever, like, oh, they're taking it serious, you know, something along those lines. I mean, I think that if they get additional training on how to treat the public and how to be honest and not lie, you know, I think that would be good, not only for them, but for their department and for the public.
Right. That's great, yeah. All right, awesome.
I'm glad that you guys were able to see the video, though. I think
yes, they like forwarded us your, like, well, kind of basically like your email, like the contents of your email to begin with, because, you know, we want to make sure the anonymity is, like, protected for everybody, and it's only, like, if they would like to speak with us, you know, that we reach out to them, but they just, like, forwarded us kind of like the content of your email, and I think the link had gotten, like, corrupted in that process of, like, maybe when it was copy pasted, like, the link just wasn't working. Okay. So, but yeah, no, I was able to watch it, and I've watched it actually several times, and taken a lot of notes on it, so that you know, I can really delve into what happened, and we're actually getting additional evidence from internal affairs as well. Okay. So we'll be looking at this from all angles. So yeah, and of course then it goes to, so our recommendations will go to the city, and then after that whole process, after everything's been reviewed by the city, eventually our report will be available for you to read. So you'll be able to look at, you know, exactly what happened in the investigation. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it just has to go through the process first. Okay. So it's not going to be like next week or anything, but yeah. Will you guys email me the link for that, or do I need to go to a website and put in something, or? Oh shoot, So I'm actually not sure. I think I think the city contacts you. I'm not. I'm almost on. You know what? Let me look into that, and because once we send it to the city, then it's kind of like it's in their court. But I have my contact at the city, and I can ask her, and I can email you and let you know exactly what you need to do.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would be awesome, because I would definitely like to check up on it, and see, you know, what happens or whatever. So it's just, you know, I'm an international photographer. I travel all over with me just taking pictures in public. People wanting ID, wanting to know what are you doing, and it's like, I'm allowed to take, we live in America, we live in a free country. Like, I don't understand why cameras are scary to people. Like, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you shouldn't mind being, you know, captured on camera. I mean, I don't try to capture anybody on camera. That's not what I photograph. But I'm just saying, you know, like, if you have nothing to hide and you're not doing anything wrong, like, it really shouldn't matter if somebody has a camera or not. And I would hate to come to your guys' area for a job or, you know, for vacation or whatever it is, and I'm out taking photographs, and then I'm approached with a baton and I'm asked for ID and all this. Like, that's kind of scary. It makes me feel like, well, that's not a place that I would want to go and spend my money and my time, you know, because of the type of job that I do, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I mean, it's not only affecting the citizens of your area, but it's going to affect the income, because people aren't going to want to visit places where they see that kind of treatment from officers, you know what I mean? And then, I don't know, I just think it's all a downward spiral is what I'm trying to get to. That's why, to me, it's important, because it's like, you know, it's a downward spiral, and we need to bring more people together. Like, this, we're so divided in this nation right now, and it's like, the police aren't the enemy, the public aren't the enemy, and I think that we all have a lot of common ground if we were decent to each other. I mean, when I was growing up, it was like the officers, I know, like, I'm a concealed carry holder. My parents are concealed carry holders. My grandparents were concealed carry holders. And when I was growing up, it was like, hey, are there any firearms in the car? You would say, oh yeah, it's in the glove box. The officer would just say, okay, you don't reach for yours, I won't reach for mine. Nowadays, when they approach and they say, are there any, you know, weapons in the car? And you say, oh, I'm a concealed carry holder, it's in the glove box. They pull guns on you, they pull you out of the car. And it's like, whoa, like, what happened in that time frame that we went from, hey, you don't touch yours, I won't touch mine, to now we're holding people at gunpoint because they have a legal firearm? Like, these people aren't out to hurt the police. Like, statistically, like, I've looked up the statistics. Statistically, the amount of officers that are shot by the public versus the amount of public that's shot by officers, like, they're not even comparable. Like, not even remotely comparable. So I don't understand why there's this fear of the public. Like, we're not out to hurt you, but we also want to know that you're not out to hurt us either. You know what I mean? I just want to bridge that gap, because right now it's like we're on two different teams on two different sides, and it shouldn't be like that. We need to all work together, because if there's a crime, you need the public to come forward and to give you information. And if there's a crime with the public, we need to be able to rely on officers and know that we're not going to get shot or gunned down or whatever the case may be when we call them for help, you know? So it's like, let's bridge that, let's fix that. And if that means, you know, training on how to deal with the public and ethics and whatever, then that's a much better solution than somebody ends up dead, there's a $5 million lawsuit, and nobody has jobs, and now everybody's, you know, homeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to try to fix it before it gets out of hand, because I don't want it to get out of hand.
Right, like an ounce of prevention.
Right.
That old saying.
Right, exactly. So
okay.
That's why I filed the complaint. That's why I said something, and I didn't just sit back quietly. So that is my reasoning, is, you know, I want to fix the bridge and the gap, and whatever you seem fit to make that happen is great, but I think that it needs to be brought to somebody's attention so that, you know, we can get a handle on it and get it fixed, and then, you know, nobody ends up hurt.
And we really appreciate it. I mean, you know, like, obviously we take this job very seriously, and what we try to do in our investigation is not just talk about, like, the individual incident. because of course we have to address the individual incident and what specifically happened, but we also try to address larger issues that are at play, that are brought up by each individual incident, and we really try to give a perspective on that, where we're citizens ourselves, and we want to try to be a voice and for people. And I think it's great that you spoke up too, because we need people to speak up. We need to be able to talk about these issues. We need dialogue, and that's what we try to do, is start a dialogue with a lot of our reports on these issues when talking about the larger kind of societal issues at play. So we definitely appreciate any time someone wants to talk about those larger issues, because that's kind of our wheelhouse. That's really what we're trying to bring to the table, in addition to the concrete solutions of additional training or what have you. Just start that dialogue about the larger issues that are occurring right now between the police and the public.
Yeah, good. Okay, good.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of our goals, and we take it very seriously. So, this definitely helps me a lot. Is there anything else that you think that you'd like to say or include in the report?
No, I don't think so. Unless you have any questions for me. I mean, I think that I think it's pretty dry, cut, clear. You know.
Yeah, I think I have a really good idea about where you're coming from and what you're concerned about, and it definitely gives me a better context for writing the report. So I really appreciate you speaking with me and taking the time to do so.
Yeah, no problem. At first I was like, I don't know what else I could tell them. I feel like I said everything I could say. I was like, I don't know what else they want from me. So.
No, just have a conversation. This stuff, I mean, like I said, this definitely helps give me more context, and it's always, I always feel like it's important to have the perspective of the complainant in the report, because we include this interview in the report, and I think it's so important to have the perspective of the complainant in the report.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so it will definitely be, and of course it's going to be, we'll keep you completely anonymous. You will not be identified in any way in the report by anything at all.
Okay, great. That's perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we take that very seriously. So
awesome. Well, I look forward to reading up and seeing what was done, if anything, and see how it was handled, and obviously
I'll
this is
talk to my contact at the city, and I'll get that information for you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Lucia. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Okay, well, that's good. Hopefully something will actually come of it. She seemed super nice, and she works for the police department, so it makes me feel like, oh, okay, yeah, you're saying all this stuff, but how truthful is it, because if you're working with the police, we know that the police lie, and I don't want to just assume this lady's a liar. I want to believe her because I want to believe the best in people. I do have some sort of hope that, that she takes it serious, and, I feel like I was professional enough. I wasn't, cursing at them and telling them what garbage they are. So I'm hoping that it was a productive conversation and that they take it seriously, and that she does update me. I hope that she does update me so that I can update you guys.